Hello my lovelies, and welcome to day 18 of this fantastic collaboration organised by the wonderful Tracie Fox Creative. So we are using the hashtag 2023 DD Advent, DD Advent in capitals. We're day 18. I'm Catherine from CreatedbyCatherine. traciefoxcreative.co.uk. That's Tracie's website. You can find all wonderful things in there. Link to her shop, Love Junk Journals. And if you click on the December dailies, you will be able to directly link into each and every one of us that's part of the collaboration. On behalf of Tracie's wonderful kit, this year's 2023 December Daily Advent kit, and you'll be able to find that on her website. Also, if you're not already in Tracie's craft group on Facebook, it's Foxy Crafters, and you have to answer a couple of questions there so that the people there that are can't think of the word, vigilating over to make sure there's no spam and that sort of thing, know that you're a real crafter. And any work that you're doing with your December Daily Advent kit, use the hashtag 2023DD Advent, and that will show up and everybody can have a look at all the wonderful work that's going on. So I think that's the housekeeping done. Okay, now it wouldn't be a December Daily or collaborative project without a bit of sewing in there from me, a bit of embroidery. I'm just going to let you know I've done this in true Blue Peter style. So for those of you that probably don't know of Blue Peter, it's a long-standing children's program here in the UK. And yeah, it's been going a long time. When I was a little girl, it was going. And there's all sorts of crafts and things and all sorts of current day affairs going on there for children and young adults. And they always used to say, and here's one I prepared earlier. And so we have got a series of items already made in steps for you, just to make this a bit of a quicker video for you, make it a bit easier. Okay, so what do you need? Well, you need an A4 piece of, now it's A4 or US letter size, so A4 in Europe, US letter size in the US. And you don't want it too thick because there's a lot of folding going on in this card, this tag. And you don't want the normal copier paper, which is generally 70-80 GSM, an equivalent poundage in the States. This is 160. So I have some 200 and I found that didn't bend quite easy enough for this particular project. So about 150, 160 is just gives you enough stiffness. Okay, now I've double printed it. I've printed it with one of the fantastic background sheets that Tracie has in her freebies. And on the other side, this is actually the backing from her Halloween kit. And I also thought it'd be useful for Christmas. As we go along, I've done different backings from different kits of Tracie's. But you don't want it too fancy because we are going to be decorating the front. Okay, so you need that. You need some calico squares. I always forget what it's called in the US, but it's, the cheap calico. This is slightly more expensive strength. We can get it here in the UK for about £2.50, some very, very fine. And because this is a backing, I'm trying to see if that's quite fine. It's going to be backing for some stitching. Yeah, if you've only got the cheap, that's fine, but it needs a little bit of heft because it's going to provide some stability for your stitches. So you want 8 squares that are going to fit in to each of these. I've chosen, so it's all about the birds today. So I've chosen these wonderful images from Tracie's kit with all the birds on. so they need to be ready cut out. You need some sewing threads if you're going to do a little bit of sewing, hand sewing. If you haven't, it doesn't matter, it'll still look as beautiful. And if you've got a sewing machine, also you can sew around the edges. Okay, so starting off with that, I cut out the pieces that I needed. And I find that if you're going to be sewing through paper and cloth, it makes it far easier. You don't want this too stiff, just a little bit of heft. Again, don't do it on copier paper if you can help it, because, you know, it easily rips when you put your needle through it. So 100 to 150 would be great for this. Cut some squares out, and then you can stick that on there. Basically, I just use my glue stick in the center because I'm going to use my machine. So I glue stick in the center, and then put my image on. Now with this, I've got a little bit overhanging, so I've done it a little bit oversized so that we can do a bit of get a bit of frou-frou around the edge. So do a little bit of fringing around there. So I've completed my squares like that. Well, they're not squares, are they? They're rectangles, really. Okay, so the next stage to that, I've actually gone around with a red thread and just sewn that together. As I say, it doesn't matter. Glue it a lot more substantially if you're not going to do machine sewing. And even if you're not going to be doing any embroidery, it's still nice, I think, to have this backing on. It gives you a little bit of a fringe. It frames the image. So still do that. Okay, so the first fold, I love this. I love these backgrounds. I've used them so much. They're really versatile. So what you need to do with your sheet of A4 or US letter size is we are going to fold it down the center like so. There's my bone folder. I mean, I've already pre-done this to make it easier. So I'll bone fold to give it a good burnish. Okay, then we're going to put those two edges. So we're going to bring up the two edges to there. Try and do it as accurately as you can, because when we come to folding it out, you need it. I mean, it's sometimes not always easy to get it spot on, but as easy, you know, as much as you possibly can. Okay, so that's fold number 2. Fold number 3, we're going to pick up this flap here, and we're going to fold it towards the bottom and burnish it down. We're going to turn it over, and again the flap, we're going to fold it down. So in effect, you're getting your A4, your letter size, folded into segments. So when we open it up fully, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have now got 8 folded elements to this page. Now, in the spirit of December dailies, because in the past we have done tags, and Tracie makes lovely boxes and she puts her December daily tags projects in these boxes. So if you're doing it, I've tried to do this. You can use it as a greeting card, you can send it to somebody, but you can also fold it up into a tag size so that you can get them into your December daily boxes. Okay, so what do we do next? We've got our segments already there. Now, here's one I prepared earlier. So what you need to do is we are going to sew. So this is open because I've glued this ready. So we are going to sew, we're going to cut down these middle two here. So I'm just going to get my little scissors, because they've got a good point on these, and I'm going to just stab a little hole in there, and we are going to cut down this partition. It's a bit tricky till you get going, and we're going to cut down the next partition. So basically you end up with a cut in the middle like this. Now you can neaten it slightly. Some people like to just cut it like this. They find that easier, but I tend to do it down the middle and then neaten it off afterwards. And you can see where it needs neatening, because you've got that little bit of a ridge there. From where you folded it. So in actual fact, you end up with it looking like this. Okay. So what are we going to do next? Well, if you can get the shape of it, look now, you can sort of see, looks like a star in the middle, that this is going to be your card that stands up. So on the front, we're going to put our front pieces and then turn it round, and you've got another 4 pieces on the back. And then this can all be folded up to put in your tag box or to put in an envelope to send, and we'll come to that shortly. Okay, so hope you've got that so far. We've done our folds in half that way, flaps at the top down towards us, flip it over, tab at the top down towards us, and then we're cutting out this middle segment here along the line, and that will give us our specially folded card. Okay, what I've done next with this, it's entirely up to you. The reason why we double back it is so you've got something nice when you actually got your card open like this, and you've got it perhaps on your mantelpiece or something. You're not just looking at, you know, scrap card on the back or something boring. You've got something half decent on the other side. So this is another one. Now what I've actually done here is I have glued the top pieces. So as we have this here, like so, that way around, should we say, look, if you have it that way around, I've glued along there. Okay, if you like, you can glue down there and glue along the top, leave that open, and you can slot something in there as well. But for purpose of today, I've just glued along the top, and then that gives us that. So we've got like a standy uppy card. Okay, that's a card made. Right, let's have a look what I've been doing with the toppers. Now, I will show you on the back here. This is the back, and so I didn't want to do hand embroidery on this particular back, because I just wanted you to see what it would look like if you don't do any hand embroidery, and it's still beautiful. So what I've actually done here is 2 other images. Again, they're all the birds. I've got my calico backing and fraying. The middle 2, because I want this to be a card that I'm going to send to somebody, I've just printed, I've got a little stamp that says Happy Holidays, so I've printed that on there. We are day 18 of the collaboration. And then I've put I've got some small alphabet stamps. So I've put 2 there and from there. So I can write on there who it's to, and it's from Catherine. And again, I've sewn around the edge with a decorative stitch you don't have to. It'll look just as nice. But if you like, you can just put 4 images on the back as well as the front. But I liked being able to do that because then I can just send them in as a card then. Now with this particular one, I've put a tab on this side, so we'll get into that later. And as I've just said, I've left this end so that I can put something in if I want. Okay, so now we get into our birdies. So I've already made a start because you don't really want to watch me sewing all the way through this video, do you? Right, so we've got one little birdie. They're not partridges in a pear tree, but you know what I mean. One partridge in a pear tree, 2 turtle doves, 3 French hens, 4 calling birds. They probably look, you know, I don't know what Tracy had in mind, but probably she went along those lines. And so this is the layout that I'm having on the front. So again, I've backed with for stability and for the nice fringe. Now, what I've done here is I have done some French knots in some ribbon, really blingy, bit bling for me, this. So I've just done a little bit of sewing on there. On this one, I've put all French knots on the tree. Just adds a little bit extra. And I've given it some little red feet. This we're going to do shortly. And I've made a start on this, and I'm going to do that shortly while you're here. And you can see that the reason, if you were to just go through the card, it can start dropping to pieces. You can start getting rips. Be very careful that you don't use a massive, I've got a large needle here, but it's not got a massive point to it, because the problem is that if you start putting, you can see this is with the sewing machine, but if you start if the needle is too big when you are sewing the card and fabric together, eventually these can rip because you've got the holes too big. So just be mindful of that. If you've only got one needle that does all, it doesn't really matter, does it? But, you know, just for if you're doing any in the future of making card and fabric together. I love sewing card and fabric mix. Then we've got our 3 French hens here. Now, what I'm using, I've got some, and I've had this a long time, but it comes out every year. I love it. It's ombre and it's string thread. The only thing is with decorative threads, don't do too large a piece because it starts to shred and spoils the look of it. So, you know, I've got a big piece for us to use here and just cut small amounts off so that it doesn't all get shredded, because it does as it's coming through the layers. Now, to make it easier as well here, because we're going through the layers, I know what I'm going to be doing daisy stitch. So I've already printed my holes. Poked my holes with the edge of my needle, so I roughly know where I'm going. Because normally I'm usually faffing about and I'm going like this and I'm stabbing in the wrong place and you end up with holes where you don't want them. And I thought, oh dear, I was supposed to be showing you and I've got holes everywhere. So they're pre-ready. Okay, now hopefully that will work better because you can see it on the other side. She says hopefully. Okay. So if you aren't sure about, there's loads of people that do fantastic stitching on YouTube. So if you want to know about stitches, that's a wealth of stitches there. Last year I did 12 days of Stitchmas, and that is in a playlist. And there's 12 quite basic stitches there that you can have a quick look at that and then come back and sew it. Let's go the next one round, look out, see where the hole is. And if you can't see it, sometimes the fabric goes back, you know, like the weave goes back in place. Okay, it's just a matter of resetting it. And we're just going to do this decorative. The reason why I'm using this is it's you know, it's multi-tonal, so it's really gives you a pretty effect. Goes in there. And can you see, look what's happened there? So we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to take that through to the other side. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to quickly stop the camera and I'm going to carry on sewing this. Then I will get back to you. I'm sure you don't want to watch me doing all these stitches. Okay, so I've done that one there. So I'm just on to the last one now. Now I'm just doing fern stitch, like a leaf stitch here. I haven't got the depth on here, but if you've got a wide leaf that you want to fill in, it's really, really effective. So you take stitches either side, and again, go and check out my stitchery guide on 12 Days of Stitchmas. And you bring both sides down to the middle. And then we've got a bit at this side. You see what I mean about it getting a bit thready? Take that to the middle. Go back up to that side. I find as well that I sometimes just put in your thumb where you want to guide your needle through. That helps. Back to this side again. Now then, it's getting thready now, so we'll see. Might be ready for changing. We might see. So take that down to the centre. Just gives a bit of texture to this tree bark. Something different to look at. But as I say, if you don't want to do any stitching, you don't have to do. I'm just giving you options. And that comes down to there. And that one to there. There you go, and we've got our bit of bark, so it made it. Just tie it off. We're going to glue this down, aren't we? So, you know. Okay, so that is our bit of sewing done. You could do as little as much as you want for the purpose of this video. I've done a little bit on them all. But, you know, if you wanted to do extra, do their eyes, French knots in their eyes or whatever, you certainly can. Right, let me just poke my needle there. Okay then, so we have got our card that looks like this. And on the one that I've done, we have our card that looks like that. Now, I've gone round at the top and done a little bit of stitching with the machine. You don't have to do. I just have, just for extra. And as I say, we've already gone through what I've got on that side. So we'll turn it over now. And we're now in a position where we're ready to position ours on. So I've put them in order because knowing me, I get my birds the wrong way around and it'd be all a kerfuffle. So I'm going to use, because it's got fabric on the back as well, have stuck these down with a glue stick if that's all you've got, but I'm just using my art glitter glue. Now, because this was thick tape, I put a bit of tape on the back just to keep them out the way so that when you glue it down, it's not getting in your way. You want it to be quite robustly stuck down because, you know, if you send it in as card, You don't want it to drop off, do you, before they get it? Okay, and we're just going to stick that. And you can see that, you know, certainly with having your fabric on the back, it's far easier to stick down than if you'd just got sewing through your card. Right, two birdies, 2 French hens. I'm not going to sing like Wilma Muhlenbeck. She's got a lovely singing voice. She's been singing in hers. Put plenty on. Give that a good stick down. You can always burnish it if you like in places. There we go. 3 French hens, and as you say, doesn't have to be the neatest on the back because you're covering that up. Just had a thought, making sure I've put it right way around. Yes, phew. Suddenly had this thought of doing it upside down. And then our last one, which we've got our lovely tree bark on there. You can leave your threads loose if you want. It's up to you what sort of look you like. Something you can make ahead as well. I mean, if you decide that if you've done all your cards this year, you can make some for next year, and it gives you a chance to get your sewn elements on your birds, although we'll be having another kit next year from Tracie. Don't know how she'll surpass this. It's been so fabulous. But yeah, you can do a mass make, can't you? Right. Can't get the pin in. There we go. I've just inked. I've got my archival, so I've inked around it with red geranium. I'm not a massive inker, but I do like the look when you're doing Christmas projects, just so you haven't got any white bits showing, apart from your fringes. Okay. Right, so that now is our decorative card. Stick that down a bit, hold it a minute. I'm doing it quickly for the sake of the video, but I'd take more time pressing each one down. So there you go, your card's going to stand up on your sideboard, mantelpiece or whatever. There, okay. So we want it to go into an envelope. I've specially made an envelope, well not made it, I had these in. This is a policy closure envelope, I believe, and this is excellent size for my A4. I'll just give you some sizings. So this is 4.5 inches, which is about 11.5 centimeters, by 8, which is 20. So obviously make sure that yours is going to fit in comfortably. And what I've done here is I've stamped on there, I've put some elements from the kit bird related. Again, this is, I've done layering, matting and layering of Tracie's coloured, free coloured papers. Again, matting and layering with some birds. I've done a belly band here with a bit of shiny card, another bird on there, and I've made a tag, backed it again with the wonderful backing papers, and I've put some fancy elastic on there, and this is a handmade bead, which there is a video that I did in preparation for my December dailies, I made some handmade beads, so go and check that out if you haven't seen it. So this is our envelope. This will obviously, it's going to go inside another envelope for if you're having to post it. And then why I've put this on here, you've got this out. So you've got your card there. You're going to fold it like so. Basically, when they get it out of the envelope, they're going to pull it like that and put it up. But to get in the envelope, I'm folding it like so. We've got our envelope. You watch it, I'll not go in now. It went in loads. Let me just burnish it down a bit as well to get in my envelope. Because leave your tab at the top. This is where you've just got to make sure that your folds are as accurate as you can get them so that it does go in. It does go in. It does. You will go to the ball. Get in. Yeah. There we go. So again, you do have to burnish it to get it in. Let me see if we can do it. I had it in earlier. Let's see if that's a better way. Let's see. Yeah, that's the way I did it, I think. Oh, look, it's typical. It's not going to do it. There we go. There we have it. It's because I'm on camera and I've got to like work round things, so I can't get at it quite as I would like, but it does go in. Normally that would go all the way down. And then just pull it out again like that. Wrap your string around. That's the back, that's our front. And it doesn't matter if you've got to do it like that. So there we have it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. This is day 18. Don't forget to go and check out traciefoxcreative.co.uk, and there's all things that you can have a look at on Tracie's website. That is my offering for today. I think as well that you can then put it in a box. So say you have got the box, like Tracie's got hers in a box, you just stand it in like that then. And it fits actually nicer to do it that way than in an envelope, but it does go. You just have to be careful that you fold it really tightly. All right then, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget, there's 2 of us that's doing the 18th today. So go and check out all the other lovely peeps that are doing the collab for Tracie Fox Creative. Take care and have a wonderful Christmas. Bye-bye.